Hey guys, welcome to this recording, not a live stream, but this recording, audio wise, of topics on my mind for today, February 16th, 2024. Yes, it is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. It is the start, President's Day weekend, which is one of the last major holidays until we get to Easter. And also until we get to at least March or even early April when spring break starts for a lot of people, including my mom, who is currently working right now at her job in Livermore as a Head Start preschool teacher. But yeah, we've got a lot of topics to talk about today. I'm not going to list them off. It's going to be one of those topics on my mind where when I show it to you, I'll also try to chapter it, and then you guys can check it out that way. But we're going to start off, first of all, we're going to start off with a little bit of a vlog, let you know what's going on, and then we'll get into the topics. But yes, again, this is topics on my mind for today, the 16th of February 2024. And also, ladies and gentlemen, this will be the first topics on my mind to show up, not just, well, it won't be the first time it's shown up on the Spotify podcast, BW Rose's Discussions, but it'll be the first time ever that it will show up at my new account at rumble.com. So those of you at rumble.com that are listening, you guys are in for a treat here with the first topics on my mind, a series I've been doing here on YouTube for quite some time. You'll be getting it for the first time with this episode. So guys, prepare for that here on rumble.com if you're listening on this outlet or on that outlet, and also here on YouTube as well. But let's get into the vlog portion of the podcast for first and foremost, shall we? All right. So, what is going on as we start the vlog portion of this podcast? Well, I am going to say this, since it is President's Day weekend starting today, and well, for many people after work, things are going to be a little different, as I've alluded to in the past with several, situations where basically breaks happen when my mom, gets a break from her job and such. Basically, what's going to happen is things are going to be altered a little bit. Some things are, if you do see some content from me on my YouTube channel here, or even content I share across other platforms like Rumble, basically that's going to be due to the fact that if it comes on at a certain time, like if I have it scheduled to premiere tomorrow, like if I do some content later today after this podcast and everything, and I schedule it for tomorrow, maybe Sunday, and even Monday, it's mainly because of the fact that my mom is going to be off. And I'm not saying it's not, I'm not saying that it's hard to do content when she's here. The issue is I have to find, as I've mentioned many times before, I have to find opportunities to do the content, provide you with the content, I should say, so you guys can have something that, something to enjoy and watch and kind of give your thoughts on for those of you that follow my content here on YouTube and also now on Rumble, and abroad. It gives you guys something to, sink your teeth into on that day, mainly due to the fact that I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen on those days, period. Because, like I said, my mom's off, and one of the things she likes me to do sometimes is help her with certain things. Like, one of the things currently she's doing right now, probably at work, if she has the opportunity, is she's going on the little tablets that they provide, little Chromebooks or whatever they are they provide them, and she's trying to put in the notes and stuff for kids that she's going to have parent-teacher conferences for within the next couple of weeks. Mostly, I think, starting next week, I should say. And so, basically, when she doesn't get a chance to do that at work, if she doesn't have the time to do that at work, she will come home and she will have me set up her laptop, and basically she will, she'll continue to work there instead of basically, at work. So, she'll continue it, on her laptop, which she has in the kitchen, believe it or not, because it's a lot easier, I guess, for her to have it there than to have it in her room, and so on. And basically, And basically, those are, and basically what I'm trying to say is that, you know, she does that, okay, hold on. I'm getting a little tongue tied here, guys. I'm losing train of thought. Hold on. Sorry about that. Got a little lost train of thought. I was kind of rambling. I was kind of talking so much, I started just rambling there. I do apologize. I mean, that happens when you do uncut, podcasting and, videos and discussions and all that. But like I was saying, though, my mom is going to be off this weekend. And like I said, one of the things, that she does, because this is an opportunity, because again, it's a situation where you got to find opportunities. And as I was saying, and I think this is where I kind of lost track of thought here, where I was kind of, just starting to ramble on and everything. Basically, the reason I said I'm going to probably upload some content to Premiere during the weekend, if I do, is, she will ask me for help. Like on Monday, or even tonight, or tomorrow night, or even Sunday evening, or whatever the case may be. She may ask me to help her with, with her work that she's got to do. Because as I was saying before, I kind of almost lost my train of thought there. Basically, she does this, she does this work. Okay, hold on. I'm almost trying to think about what I was saying earlier. Hold on. Okay, sorry. But I was saying she does this work where she basically puts in notes at work. They provide her and the other teachers with these tablets. Not a lot of tablets or Chromebooks or whatever they are, but just enough for them to like take an opportunity, take a turn to work on it, to work on the kids, work on putting down notes, typing down notes and everything about the kids that they work with at Head Start. And basically, if she can't get it done at work, this is where I kind of got a little ramblish, kind of started to lose my train of thought here. Basically what she does is she comes home, she has me set up her laptop, which is in the kitchen, and then she starts continuing her work there. Now, you might say, well, that should give you opportunity, right? You're asking that, you would ask that question, well, that should give you opportunity, right? Yeah, you would think it would give me opportunity, but there will be times that, I'll have my my door closed and everything, so I can, give her privacy, give her space a little bit, and also let her do her job. But what happens sometimes is she will ask me to come help her with something, and I'll get up and then I'll go see what she wants or what she needs help with. And she'll ask me questions of, okay, I did this, but what does this thing that pops up on the screen mean? Or what's that's over here? Or where do I go? She'll ask me things that, you would think would be obvious to her as to what to do. But, she's an old school soul, is what she is. She's old school. I mean, if she had her way, she would basically say, look, she would basically tell her job, look, I'm old school, let me do it via paper. In other words, she would write. She would write on the paper like, okay, here's what they do, da-da-da, here's what this kid has to improve on, da-da-da. She would do it that way, but because technology has advanced so much and everything, technology has advanced so much that, her and the other teachers are not allowed to do that anymore, and instead they got to use the laptops at work and the computers and laptops at home. That's what they got to use. Get some Coca-Cola there. But, that's what they got to use to do the work. Because a lot of the work now takes place online with various websites that are accessible from home. So that's what I'm talking about. And again, I do apologize for kind of losing my train of thought there a little bit, because I was starting to talk and ramble on and everything. And a lot of people do that. I mean, I was even watching Comic Book Cast 2 here on YouTube, and them doing a spoiler review on Madam Web, and he did it uncut. He didn't edit anything out. You could tell that he didn't edit anything out. He did it uncut, and he just said, "Okay, I'm going off the seat of my pants here. Just talk, just work with me here. Just work with me. I'm going off the seat of my pants." And others do that too. I mean, 3C Films, when they do the live streams, they, like, I think he's got one planned for later today. You know, they will do things uncut. Excuse me. You know, they would do things uncut and everything, and they just, if they want to edit it out for later, for like a clip or something, they will. But anyway, like I said, basically, she does this, she does the work and everything, if you will. She does the work at home if she can't do it at school, and she will ask me for help sometimes. Or what will happen if she's sitting down eating and she's watching, let's say, One Day at a Time on Netflix, or she's watching the first 7 seasons, or trying to watch the first 7 seasons of Young Sheldon. She will ask me to come up. She will ask me to get out of my room and turn on the light, because we have one of the living room lamps, I should say, one of the living room lamps on a timer. So basically, what's going on is it's timed incorrectly. It goes off a lot sooner than she would want it to. So I need to adjust that probably later today. But basically, she will ask me to go take care of that, or she'll ask me to go get her a knife, or ask me to get her some napkins and stuff if she forgets it. So even if I'm done eating and everything, or I'm eating and let's say I'm trying to work on something, like let's say do a video or a live stream or whatever, I would have to go and help her. So basically, that's where the whole situation of record something and everything and schedule it for like later on in the weekend or in the weeks to come, comes into play, I should say, because of the fact that, it's kind of not easy to get around that. It's not easy to get around that unless she's, occupied with something. Or she's, she's asleep. Like one of the ways I would do this, if I'm not working and I don't have to be at work the next day, or, I don't have to be at work that day, basically, I will stay up late, if I'm not tired and everything from work. If I'm working, I'm going to be working soon, hopefully. And basically, she will, not she, but if I'm awake, what I'm trying to say is if I'm awake and everything late at night and she's asleep on the couch like she normally is, or she's asleep in her bed, I'll wait a little bit. Like if she's asleep in her bed and I'm still awake, I wait a little bit. I wait like a half hour or so to make sure she's totally asleep. And then I might do a late night live stream or recording or whatever, so I can get some content out to you guys that day, as soon as possible. But if she's asleep on the couch, I wait till she's totally asleep. And what I do is I take my phone and I put it on the security camera app, the Xfinity app that has all the utilities, a way to pay your bills, check the usage of your data and all that, right? So what I do is I will go into the security area, check the camera, and the camera will show, the couch. It will show the couch, right there and there, right there, like right in front of your face. And I'll usually wait to see if she's asleep. And when I see that she is totally out, like she's got her little blanket that my sister made for her, covering her, and she's got her head, leaning down a little bit, then I know she's completely out. I'll be like, oh, good, she's out. She's asleep. She ain't gonna move for a while. So I will take advantage of that, and I will do a video or a live stream, here in my room. But if I see her without the blanket, but I see her kind of like nodding off and a little bit, or I do see her asleep, I will try to do it. I mean, like I'll try to do a recording like this, like I'm currently doing. I will try to do a recording like this, but I will also, like I say, have the security camera on, because what happens if I don't see her wearing the blanket, while she's sleeping on the couch, and I just see her like, her head's a little nodded down and she has her eyes closed and everything. Like I said, I will take an opportunity to try to record, but then what I'll do, if I have the option, like with OBS Studio, I have the option to pause my recording. I will pause it if I start seeing her, move her head, like she'll suddenly wake up, suddenly, start to sit up, drink, look at her phone, drink her coffee, or not coffee, but whatever she's drinking, her hot tea, if you will. And then I'll wait. And if I have to wait for a while, I will wait for a while, because what she'll do is she'll probably get up, walk down this hallway, go to her room, get her blanket, then go back to the couch or go into the kitchen. Now, the reason I say that is because of the fact that my mom is my mom, I love her, but she's very, very suspicious. She's very suspicious and very cautious about stuff. And what I mean by that is, basically, in the past, I've had family members, because they would like to tease me sometimes, or they would like to teach me a lesson about stuff. They would let her know, hey, he said this about you in his video. And she'd be upset. And she would tell me, don't mention me in your videos. So what I do, again, like I said, when I still see those opportunities where she could be asleep, or she's occupied doing something like working on her kids, or she's watching television or whatever, I will try to do a video. I will try to do a video on some kind of topic or whatever, but I will pause it or end it and then resume it. After, when I get the opportunity, because I don't want her to be like going up to my door and be like, "Hey, Brian, are you talking about me?" or her knocking on the door and all that. I don't need to be interrupted, so I just be like, okay, I'm gonna stop right here, because I don't want her to be like, hello.
Did you did the recycle come yet?
Yeah.
Oh, you put the garbage can in?
Not yet.
Oh, hey, did you check to see if that cat did anything over there?
No, they didn't.
Did you see it on the video?
Yeah, they didn't do nothing.
Well, they were doing something.
Well, they didn't. I didn't see nothing.
No pee?
No.
They peed.
No.
Maybe they peed.
No, I didn't see anything, Mom.
On that corner?
No.
No poo-poo?
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm just checking in. Did you get the mail yet?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. I'll talk to you in a little bit then.
All right.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Bye.
You too. You weren't supposed to hear that. Sorry. But yeah, you see what I mean? I get so distracted when she does that kind of stuff. I think I'm pausing something and I'm not. If you heard that, I do apologize. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Like, we have these feral cats over here. Some of them are owned by people. And basically, she wants to make sure the cats are not, peeing and pooping on the lawn and all that. And everything. And it's like, look, if they do, they do. But I don't think they will. But you can see how it is, how that is. Because this morning, she calls me, she lets me know she got to work and everything, when she could have easily texted me and told me she was there and then asked me the same stuff through the text. But she wanted to talk to me and everything. She just kept going on and on of, did you make sure the cat, did that cat do this, the cat do that, and to me, it's almost like, and again, I love my mom and everything, but it's almost like she should just come out and say, Brian, just do me a favor. Just go look, just go look. I worry. That's all she has to say. Just say, I worry. It'll be what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? It'll be I can't even think of the word, but basically be like a piece off my mind, if you will. Basically be like something off my mind. Or a thought off my mind, if you will. If you just go and do it. And that's all she has to say. Just say, go do it, please, be done with it. And that's it. She doesn't have to, be always like hinting at, oh, well, can you go check? Or do you think so? Can you check the video? She just come out and say it. That's it. Just come out and say it. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, if you heard that, I'm sorry about that. I do apologize. Like I said, I'm doing this unedited, so these kind of things will happen. Well, I do apologize for that, but yeah, what are you going to do? Uncut, uncensored, if you will. But, and mistakes do happen. They do happen. So, I mean, I thought I paused. I did think I paused and everything. I guess I didn't. But anyway, that's what I'm talking about when it comes to this upcoming break and even the upcoming spring breaks and everything that are going to be showing up soon too. It's that kind of situation to where it's like, okay, I need to work around that. And, basically, try to see what I can and cannot do when, she's home. And that's why, sometimes I think other people like me here on YouTube and Rumble and other outlets will basically do recordings, when they get the opportunity, and then edit them together for upload later on, because it's like, okay, I got to go do this, I got to go do that, my family needs this, and all that, and that's all good, but you also want to try to get content out. That's one of your main priorities, especially if you're trying to monetize and make money. You want to basically, have the opportunity to put stuff out that will allow you to do it. But again, this is one of those situations to where, you just got to be, more careful about what happens and everything. You got to be more careful. But yeah, getting back to what I was saying, this is why, basically it's going to be a little harder at times for me to do stuff, because she might need me here and there. She might, like I say, call and everything like she just did and everything. And it's just one of those situations that, look, it's not a problem. It's not a big issue. It's just more along the lines of, please understand that sometimes we're doing stuff that you may not understand, but we do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's one of the other reasons. The other reason as well is because it's President's Day weekend. Our family basically probably might be getting together. I'm not saying anything is set in stone, but there has been discussion of getting together. Just not sure what day or when or where. We're going to get together over the President's Day weekend, but there has been talk about that, and because of that, that kind of interrupts the whole get content, try to record content and get it out the same day scenario comes in. So that's why, again, I have to plan out ahead of time to ensure you guys have something in the meantime, like when I'm not around and such, here on YouTube and Rumble and other outlets. But yeah, that's what's going to be happening probably this weekend, and of course going into spring break in April when that starts up. So, I'm just letting you guys know ahead of time if you see anything uploaded here on YouTube and on Rumble and probably another outlet, and it's scheduled for a later date, because basically, again, I need to work around that scenario and everything as well. And I do apologize for if you guys heard that right there on the phone. I thought I had paused, the recording of this podcast, but I guess I didn't. But like I said, that's what happens. That's what happens. And you kind of heard right there what I'm talking about. And imagine that, that being, an in-home situation, if you know what I mean. Like, you're living with, your family member, your mom, your dad, your guardians, your siblings, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, and they don't have an idea. They might have an idea, but not totally an idea of, oh, you're doing something to try to make some money on the side. But anyway, yeah, that's, again, imagine that kind of being in person kind of deal, if you know what I mean. Now, outside of that, like I mentioned before, like on Sunday, like this past Sunday, I mentioned when my mom was at church, coming home from church anyway. What a way to kick off the Super Bowl Sunday, right? I mean, yeah, the game didn't go the way us 49er fans would want. And unfortunately, controversial play, controversial calls, I should say, and everything played maybe in favoritism. Controversial favoritism may have played a factor. But yeah, what a way to start the weekend and everything. What a way to start the Super Bowl weekend, because as I mentioned before in that video, that I put on YouTube. I didn't put it here on Rumble. I didn't put it on Rumble, I should say, but I put it on YouTube. But what a way to start. What happened mainly, and I'm going to make this short and sweet. What happened is my oldest sister and her husband, this past, a week ago, not this past week, but a week ago, was supposed to leave for Kansas on Sunday evening, on the 7th. They were supposed to leave on the 7th for a red-eye flight on Spirit Airlines to Kansas City, so they can drive from Kansas City to Topeka and to where my dad's at right now in assisted living, which is in Manhattan, Kansas. So, long story short, basically we had, I'm sure a lot of you heard that we had this weather, this on and off rainstorm and everything, atmospheric winter storm. And it basically, because we got it bad on Sunday, it caused my sister's flight that evening to be canceled. Basically, what she told my mom is they had just left the house. Her and her husband had just left the house, and they were just around the corner from their house, getting ready to head out of Patterson and everything, and they were literally around the corner when she ended up getting the text, and they said, yeah, we have to cancel your flight because of the weather. So they ended up going back home, and they got the flight rescheduled for the next evening. So they took the same red eye, but on Monday evening. So they had to basically stay an extra day to catch up on a lot of things, because her plan was to arrive there Monday morning, rest up a little bit, and then use all of Monday to take care of a few personal situations, to help out my dad because of what he had been through recently. And I did a video. I talked about this. It's a video she asked to have go viral about somebody that my dad thought was his friend but wasn't, because they were just using him for his money and everything. And that was about it. And apparently this friend didn't really care about him whatsoever, and just left him at the doorstep of the assisted living in Manhattan. Just left him at that doorstep there. Now, he'd been to other assisted livings, I think in Topeka, but it was the one in Manhattan that took his VA and his VA stuff and all that. So long story short, this lady, that's who she is, a lady, was using him for his money, and now she is on the run. She is on the run because basically my dad basically, he was not happy. He was heartbroken. He was not happy. And even when he talked to the investigators, because we got this thing, they got that going on with it. They showed him, look what this lady did to your account, and everything. So that's one of the things my sister had to do. She had to go to, this is the second time. The first time she went with my niece, her daughter, and they took care of a few things. They got POA, power of attorney. And then after that, they went from there, and then after that, they came back, and then she planned then to go again, and this time take her husband, because he'd never been to Kansas, but it was the first time he'd ever been out there. And, they took care of the other stuff they needed to take care of. They had to go from Topeka to Oskaloosa, to here, to there, to here, to there. And it was just one of those situations to where it's like, my dad... Look, my dad has to take some of the blame, most of the blame too, because he bought into whatever this lady was selling him. He bought into whatever she was selling him, and now he's in a situation to where, thank God, he's getting his strength back. He's getting his, he was skinny at first, but now he's getting his strength back. He's looking a little healthier. He's walking again because, they had to do hip operation on him because he fell on his hip. And we're not sure if he was pushed by the lady, because apparently there was an argument between them, and so on and so forth, and whatever the case may be. But anyway, he bought into what she was selling, and now he's basically having to recover from paying the price for that. And this lady's on the run. This lady's on the run now, because apparently everybody that saw her around my dad, and even those that saw her when she was living in other places, they don't like her. They feel like she's not somebody that should be on the streets, period. And apparently when the assisted living in Manhattan asked her why, she didn't leave him with any clothes, and if she can bring any, she's like, oh, I can't right now because I'm going to Mexico. And it's like, seriously? And apparently it was, part of that was on his dime. It was on his dime and all that. But yeah, not to get too much into it, that's why she had to go this more recent time, a week ago. And what happened, like I said, is that they were supposed to go on Sunday evening, take care of a lot of the stuff on Monday, stay there Tuesday, stay there Wednesday, and, then come back and then leave Thursday, leave Thursday and be home Thursday evening and have the weekend to get ready for the Super Bowl. But because of the storm, though, delaying stuff a day, they left Monday evening and stayed from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then left on Saturday, because basically they wanted to make sure not only did they, they wanted to make sure, mostly my sister that is, wanted to make sure that not only did they catch up on a lot of stuff, if you will, that they wanted to take care of a day earlier, but they also wanted to make sure my dad had everything he needed for the time being before going back to see him probably within the next month or two. Anyway, long story short and everything, they get ready to leave Saturday. So they're leaving Saturday, right? So they left Saturday. They left, I think it was in the morning, afternoon, morning, something like that. They left Saturday on Spirit Airlines from Kansas City to Las Vegas, because the way it went both ways is they would leave, because they left from Oakland, and the route would take them red-eye wise to Las Vegas, stop there for an hour, and then straight to Kansas City. Well, here, coming back, and this is the second time this has happened. The first time was with her and my niece, and basically they just waited, walked around, did some sightseeing, and then, got on the plane, went home. So what happened this time around is that it's Las Vegas, and my brother-in-law, he loves to be in places like Las Vegas, sightseeing, gambling, kind of stuff, slot machines, stuff like that. Anyway, what happens is that, and of course, just like with anybody in Vegas or Atlantic City, you like to drink. You get to, if you have enough time before, between flights, you like to drink. So apparently they drank a little bit, but I guess they drank a little too heavy or something, and essentially they went to board, and the attendant was asking them if they were okay, and they were like, "Oh, we're fine," and everything. And then I guess my brother-in-law said something he shouldn't have said, and long story short, they got kicked off the Spirit flight for 24 hours. So what happened is, because I guess there wasn't another Spirit flight until like later in the evening that they could afford, they went and basically what happened is they went their separate ways for a while, because they both had to cool off, because my sister wasn't happy with him, and overall he wasn't happy with the situation, and and just a whole clusterfuck of a mess. Excuse my language, God, but a whole clusterfuck of a mess. And long story short, they met back up. They got a hotel room in Super 8 in Las Vegas, and then from there they booked a flight on Southwest, a noon flight, and got home basically just moments before the Super Bowl started. They landed, got their stuff, and then, like I said, got home just moments before the Super Bowl started. And it's like, what a way to start Super Bowl weekend. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. And apparently the receptionist there as well wasn't very helpful. So it was like, it's like that wasn't good. That wasn't good at all either, especially when you're being rude to a couple of people that they just want to get home, and they might be a little they might be, I wouldn't say a little, I'd say very tipsy in a way, but still coherent enough to say, hey, we just want to get off, like, go home and all that. But like I said, what a way to start the weekend. What a way to start the weekend, Super Bowl weekend, I should say. But anyway, besides that, it's been an interesting week so far. Some things have happened. I don't want to say too much, because it's personal. Some personal stuff and everything. A lot more personal than that and everything. But yeah, there's been some other stuff, some unfortunate news. But again, I'm not going to say anything on that. Again, that's very personal. Unfortunate news within our family. I'm not going to say too much. But we got information on that and stuff, and just been, like I said, an interesting week. Just an interesting week and everything. And it's just, I'm just telling you, it's like God definitely knows how to test families to see what their faith is, and He's testing my family in a big, big way with a lot of stuff going on. So just keep, again, I don't want to say too much because of privacy reasons and all that, personal reasons. Excuse me. But all I ask you guys is keep me and my family in your prayers as we go through these changes, these personal, private changes over time. But outside of that, again, not too much happening. I do want to talk about what happened in Kansas City a couple of days ago. And I'm going to say this. Obviously, the 3 suspects, the one that was released, obviously he didn't have nothing to do with what happened. Maybe he did. I'm not really sure. But when you have 2 juveniles, still being in custody, that kind of tells you that, something was up with them. Like, something mental was up with them. And apparently, first of all, my prayers go out to the families affected by this. My prayers go out to the Lisa Loeb's family and what happened to her. She just know she's with God right now, and she's in paradise, and she is, away from all this crap that's going on in this world right now. But yeah, my prayers and everything go out to the families and that went through this, and here's why I've taken time. I didn't want to come on and talk about this right away because I know my anger might have gotten the best of me, but I have friends. I have friends that live in Northeast Kansas still, and I know some of them went and attended that parade, and I thank the Lord that my friends that went there are home safe. I'm thankful they are home safe. But I'm gonna say this. Whatever these juveniles' mindsets were, whatever their mindsets were, whether you need mental help or basically you're doing it for attention, you are wrong in doing this. You are wrong for doing this. And I hope you get the ultimate penalty. I hope you get life. I really do. And I hope that life sentence comes with personal psychiatric help because people like that need it. They need it. It's just, it's almost like you can't. It's like you can't even go to an event like this without wondering, okay, are we safe here? Are we going to be okay? Are we going to be able to enjoy ourselves? Without worrying about somebody being among you, hiding with the goal to do something, horrific. So, so to me, to me, I'm thankful that, I'm thankful for the Kansas City people, the Kansas City police, the fire department, the citizens that took action in, preventing any more tragedy from happening. And again, my prayers and my prayers and all that go. My prayers and thoughts go out to the families and all that, including Lisa Loeb's family in this time. But yeah, this has got to stop. And every time this stops. Oh, not every time this stops, but every time this happens, I should say, it just makes it more, more of a concern. I mean, like what's going to be the next target, but it does do another thing too. It does, get the police and everything and the FBI on their feet. It wakes them up and realizes if you don't want this to happen again, you need to take action. You need to make a decision to take action, and you got to wonder if this is going to, change things. I mean, we know this happened with the Nuggets last year, with the Nuggets in their parade. You got to wonder that more security is going to be implemented, when this stuff happens. I mean, eventually what's going to happen is you're going to have full-on, military forces, if you will, armed forces or whatever, being, providing security because of this. That's what's going to happen unless something is done. But again, my prayers and thoughts go out to the families and all that. And, we're going to, I thank God that my friends that went there, and these are friends I went to school with. These are friends I went to school with in Oskaloosa. I'm thankful they're safe and sound. I really am. I really thank God they're safe and sound. But yeah, it's just this has got to stop. This kind of stuff is this has got to stop, and it's got to stop now. And it's gonna. And Washington needs to do something. They need to do something, and they need to do it now. People are going to come out and say that once again, under Biden's watch, this is happening more so than it did under Trump's. And look, you can say what you will about Trump, but you have to admit that when he was running things, there was less of this, going on than what it is now, and everybody knows that. But yeah, like I said, my prayers and thoughts go out to the families that suffered through this. My prayers and thoughts go out to Lisa Lope's family. Again, know she is with God right now, and she's in paradise and away from all this crap that's going down in this world. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on that. And again, you'll probably see some content going up on Rumble and YouTube that will be scheduled for later on during the weekend because of President's Day weekend and a lot of stuff going on. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a bit of a break here, and we will be back with our first topic. And Frank Hill just sent me an attachment here. That's the one thing about notifications. Sometimes they will go right in front of you and make you not be able to see stuff. But I will be right back, guys. I'm going to take a bit of a break, check the mail, check the front lawn and all that. And we'll be back with our first topic. So be right back. Alright guys, so let's get on to our first topic, and this one has been dominating the news lately. This is Fani Hill. Let me check her name. Hold on, let me make sure I get her name right and everything. Let me see if I can get to the news here. Yeah, Fani Willis. Fani Willis. Basically, Fani, if you will, Fani Willis, is the DA, district attorney, that in Fulton County, of Georgia, is trying. Basically, she is trying to. Indict Donald Trump. She's trying to basically indict him, remove him from the ballot. Basically take him to court over 2020 election interference, where he tried to overturn the election results in Georgia. Georgia being one of the states that was focused on for potential fraud and cheating of the election. That got Joe Biden in office. She is basically now in the public spotlight because of an affair she had with, I think his name is Nathan Ward. And, yesterday, her and Ward, yesterday was the first day. Today's the second day. It's currently going on as we're recording this. But yesterday, basically, it was not a good look for her or Ward because it felt like, the questions they were being asked by the prosecutors and all that, basically, they could not answer. They could not really answer truthfully. And Fani, basically, she basically made a spectacle of herself. Apparently, she was not originally going to take the stand. She said she wasn't going to do it, but then all of a sudden, she just, according to Fox News and other outlets, even those that would be on her side, like MSNBC, they basically stated that she changed her mind, stormed into the courtroom, or at least got up, and decided to, take the stand herself, be her own eyewitness, if you will. And I'll put it this way: you need to go and see this for yourself. Go to any outlet you trust, here on YouTube and on Rumble. See for yourself what I'm talking about. But she did not make herself look good. I'll be honest with you, because I saw some of this. I shared it with my family because they will definitely be into this as well. But she did not look good. And this is a lady that's trying to prosecute and I guess you could say Skoll Trump over some coal. So basically, yeah, she's trying to prosecute Skoll and find Trump guilty of interference in the election. And what she's being prosecuted herself for is the fact that the person she put in charge of the prosecution, Nathan Ward, apparently she started dating him within the same year that she hired him to be the prosecutor, and that any money he made, she would be getting back as well. She'd be getting something like interest or something, and they'd be using it to go on trips, across the globe, not just here in the U.S., but across the globe. And her response throughout this, Nathan Ward, I think that's his name. His response, basically made him look like he had Alzheimer's or was having brain fog or something like that, or brain fart as some people called it. Her though, man, it's like, some of the news outlets were like, what is she trying to do? Audition for The View? Audition for The Talk? What is she doing? Is she trying to audition for a potential seat, at one of the, I guess you could say, discussion shows that, networks like MSNBC, CNN, Fox News have? Is she trying to do that? That's what it was coming off as in the eyes of a lot of folks. It's like, as well as these news outlets, it's like, what is she doing? Because she got so colorful, and I guess you could say vibrant in her responses, but in the wrong manner. She was being colorful and vibrant, but in the wrong way. And even the judge, who was being cool, calm, and collective, had to tell her at one point, I think even towards the end of her being questioned and everything as her own witness, even the judge had to say, ma'am, he had to say, Miss Willis, you need to calm it down. I'm going to give you one warning here. You need to calm it down and everything. But she was just on fire, literally, with her responses, but for all the wrong reasons, because basically it made her look like, not only like a fool, if you will, a clown, as some people put it, but it also made her and others in other states that are trying to do the same thing in prosecuting Trump and trying to prove that, hey, he interfered in trying to overturn the 2020 elections. Here's the proof. It's making her, and by extent them, look bad, and it's making their cases, like her case, look bad as well, and basically make it look more like, oh, they just don't want him there because they know if he wins, or he's proven right, that, hey, it just shows that, yeah, maybe we cheated the system because we didn't want him around. It basically does not favor them. It does not favor them because, again, it makes her and those that are trying to do the same thing in other states look foolish. It makes their prosecution look weak, and it, in a way, would probably prove that maybe, Trump and his team and others that support him were right. Like, there was interference. Like, there was a cheating of the system, that prevented him from being reelected. And what it does now, even more so in this year's elections, is it makes him look better by extension. Even despite all these other court situations he's got to be part of, it makes him look, better in comparison because of the fact that basically, the wool is coming off the wolf. The sheep's wool is coming off the wolf. And it's making him look bad. It's making him look bad. I mean, if I was her, you do have the right to say, no comment, or I refuse to answer that question. You have the right to do that. Even if they push it, you just say, look, Judge, I refuse to comment. I don't want to comment on that anymore. Please have them move to another question. That's all you do. Now, I'm not sure if that's, I'm not sure if that works in all, the court jurisdictions, if you will. But honestly, if I was her and I was Ward, I would have done that. But she didn't, and neither did he. And there's a lot of things that are, in their, I guess you could say in their responses that are very flawed. You know, like, her saying that she paid cash. Him and her saying, oh, cash was exchanged for, things that came out of his credit card or his whatever it was, his business card, whatever that he used to spend on this stuff. The question is, who basically has that kind of cash on them physically nowadays? What does she do? Did she go into a did she wait until they went to their own private hotel room and say, okay, here's the cash, now let's go get it on? That right there is what's making people wonder, whether or not this girl is, telling the truth or she's full of BS. Because, there's even evidence, and I don't know if they'll pull it up, doing this, but there's even evidence that shows that when she was running for district attorney, she basically was a proponent. She was a proponent of not wanting to be in a relationship with somebody that she works with or works for her. But apparently that's basically, that's basically what's the word I'm saying? What's the word I'm trying to look for? That's basically, hitting her back in the face. It's basically coming back to bite her, if you will, because her own words, if they do show that video from her campaign, are gonna come back to haunt her. And it's gonna be like, oh crap, I'm doing what I said I wouldn't. But yeah, this is just like, if you want my honest opinion, to me, this is just the first major this is possibly, not saying it's gonna be, but this is possibly the first major domino to fall. This is the first major domino to fall, in these prosecution and court cases against Trump to try to prevent him from running for office this year. It's going to be it's going to be the first. It may be the first, I should say, that will fall, and then over time others will fall as well until the truth comes out, and the truth will be revealed. And I've always felt, and again I say this with all due respect, no offense, I believe what it really is, and justifiably so, is it's just about the fact that before Trump had his first term as president, he mistreated women and talked down upon them in a way that he shouldn't have. And yeah, he's tried to, in his own demeanor, try to apologize, make up for what he did, but not in a way that I think would be acceptable, or I believe would be acceptable. And that's what it is, in my opinion, in the long run. That's why there was, if there is truth to it, there was a fraud. There was cheating of the 2020 elections, if you believe that, and everything. If you believe that to be true, that's one of the main, if not the main reason it happened. It wasn't because, we don't want a strong leader. No. It was mainly because of the fact that the people behind it didn't want this womanizer running for office again or for re-election because of what he did prior to his first term. That's what they didn't want. That's what they didn't want, and that's what's still going on today. They know that if he wins, they're going to have to deal with him for another 4 years. And they don't want that. They don't want that. And again, it's not because they don't want a strong leader. They don't want someone that looked down upon and mistreated women the way he did prior to his first term. They don't want him there. Now again, I'm not saying, let me make this perfectly clear. Let me make this perfectly clear, okay? What I just said there, and I say it with all due respect, no offense, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. But what's funny is I'm not alone in that opinion. There are others that share that same opinion as to basically what they truly believe this is all about. And a lot of them will go back to that. A lot of them will go back and say, look, what Trump is being accused of this and that, and this coming up and that coming up, what it really is at the end of the day is just a bunch of people, men and women, that don't want him in office because of the way he looked down upon women prior to his first term. And as I've said before, Trump has nobody to blame but himself. He's the one that basically did all that. And he has no one to blame but himself for what's going on right now. Yes, he is a president of a majority of the people. Not everybody, but a majority. And for those that want to deny that, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. But if you look at the news, all across the board, from Fox News to MSNBC, CNN, and so forth, and the latter two being more democratic than anything, even they, along with Fox News, News Nation, Newsmax, and all that, even they will tell you that he is more beloved by the people than our current president is right now. And that a majority of people would rather have Trump back in office than having Biden in there right now. And again, this is also coming from people that are democratically supporting networks. And that's a fact. And even they might even come out and say that at the end of the day, the truth behind all these procedures that Trump is going through, court-wise and everything, these prosecutions and whatever, are not just about this or that at the end of the day, what they really are, and again, I say this with all due respect, no offense, it's about people getting back at him for the way he mistreated women. And again, he has no one but himself to blame. And when it comes to this Fani Willis, it's the same thing. You could say, you could say and agree that she has a right to put him under the microscope and try to prosecute him for election interference to try to overturn the 2020 elections, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, you could tell what it really is. You could tell what it really is because she is just among other ladies, and again, I say that with all due respect, no offense, that are leading these prosecutions. And that's kind of the pattern right there. That's the pattern. It's all women. And again, I say it with all due respect, no offense. But you have to ask yourself, why is it all women like her? Why are women like her being the ones leading the charge? It's because of the fact that just like with some men doing the same thing, it's to get back at Trump for the way he mistreated them. And if that is true, if the truth comes out that that's what this is really all about at the end of the day, if at the end of the day the truth comes out, we find out that that's what this is really all about. If I'm them, okay, and I don't want to fall on my face like Fani Willis has been doing, according to a lot of outlets, even those that you think would support her. If I'm them, I would just, swallow my pride. I would go and talk to Trump and say, look, you don't want us to prosecute you anymore. You don't want us to prosecute you anymore. You don't want us to put you in court and, try to prevent you from running for president. Here's what we ask in return. Go out and publicly apologize for your actions prior to your first term as president towards women and make a vow, a promise in front of the country that you will never do anything like that again. I mean, that's all they would have to do. I'm not saying it would be a win-win situation or it would be a true resolution or if it would even work. But the fact of the matter is that, to me, if they do something like that, it might help them out. It might help, it might help basically their case to try to, get something like that, off the ground. Like make some kind of deal like that or some kind of agreement, an arrangement. But, they're not doing that. They're not thinking about that. What they're thinking about is getting him behind bars. Now, like I said, my opinion here, but it is shared by a lot of people, that I think that's what this really is at the end of the day. Now, could I be absolutely wrong about it? Sure. Absolutely I could be wrong about it, and it's just a coincidence that it is a group of ladies individually that are leading the charge, and that they are more qualified than a man is to do so. I'm not denying that. I am not denying that, but I'm just saying, in my opinion, a lot of people would feel that that's what really this is about. That there are women and men that just are doing this because of what Trump did prior to his first term, when it came to mistreating women. Now, like I said, I'm not totally correct in that, nor do I feel I'm correct in that. It's just an opinion, and I might be wrong about that at the end of the day. But when you really get down to it, it just feels too coincidental. But again, getting back to the Fani Willis, what she's doing here, and apparently, as far as we know, she's not taking the witness stand today, and apparently she won't, But again, she said that yesterday, and all of a sudden she decided, no, I want to go take the witness stand. I want to go defend myself. She might still do that again. We're not saying she won't. We'll find out later. But the point is, the way she acted yesterday, like I said, even the networks that you think would be on her side, even basically said it was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment. So when you have the networks like MSNBC, CNN, and all of them that you think would be on your side and supporting you, saying, hey, she embarrassed herself, she embarrassed the District of Fulton County, she embarrassed all district attorneys, period, that are trying to do the same thing in other states, that's not a good look. It's not a good look for you. It's not a good look for those that are trying to do the same stuff in other states. It basically exposes you, and it causes that wool, that sheep's wool that you're wearing as a disguise to start shedding off. It starts shedding off, and it starts exposing you. So what's going to happen at the end of the day with this lady? Who knows? But if she gets disqualified, she has no one but herself to blame. What she hopes, what people have said that she needs to hope for, is that it gets thrown out, and I guess by getting thrown out, she'll be safe and sound. She won't have to worry about anything, and she could probably still do her prosecution of Trump. But if she is disqualified, she has no one but herself to blame. Because she and Ward picked the wrong time, the wrong place and time to start an affair. That's what happened. Wrong place and time. And she's going to have no one but herself to blame. No one but herself to blame. But we'll see. We'll see what happens at the end of the day. We'll see what happens at the end of the day when it comes to her and what she's going to be dealing with in the near future. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this topic, because, again, it doesn't make her look good, and it doesn't make anybody else that's in a similar boat trying to prosecute Trump and all that look good either. But give me your thoughts. And now on to the next topic. All right, on to our next topic, and boy, is this one that really just, it just really got a lot of people like, seriously, Sony? Have you not learned your lesson? And that being Madam Web. Now, I know there are some people that probably like the film. Don't get me wrong. If that's your kind of flavor to like when it comes to films, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, everybody likes a good cheesy B, C level movie, if you will. But that's basically how people looked at this. It's like they looked at this and they're like, why? I mean, even the trailer, the first, like the teaser trailer and then the first full-on trailer and second trailer, whatever. It's like they looked at that and they knew almost immediately, oh shit. Excuse my language, God, but oh shit. This is not going to be good. And apparently it wasn't. Because there was a lot of things, from people that saw it. From John Campea to Joe Vargas of Angry Joe Show to Corey and his crew from Double Toasted and others that saw this and they're like, oh, you have got to be kidding. Even Comic Book Cast, the people at Comic Book Cast 2 on YouTube, or CBCYT, on Twitter, even they said this was wrong. I mean, I mentioned during the vlog and everything, the vlog portion of this, basically that, he when he did his spoiler review, he did it uncut, and the reason he did it uncut and unedited is mainly because he wanted people to hear his frustration with this. It's like, what do you got here? It's like, what is going on? Now, look, I have not seen the film yet, and obviously everybody that's reviewed it so far has said, no, do not go see this film. It's not worth it. And Yellow Flash 2 here on YouTube, Yellow Flash 2 on YouTube, I should say, and I think even Clownfish TV pointed this out, is when they were looking over the seating charts for theaters on Twitter, on X, if you will, a lot of the seats that were being for different variety of theaters, from IMAX to regular 3D to Dolby Atmos and all that. A lot of them were not, and this was all on opening week, if you know what I mean. If you kind of see what I'm kind of get what I'm saying at. But basically, all the seating was empty. Like, there was a few theaters that did look like it was getting filled up because, oh, it's IMAX. Let's see if it looks any better on IMAX. Or it's a theater in a smaller town, so it's like, okay, we'll go there because, the cinema might be a Cinema 6 or Cinema 8, under the Regal name or an independent name, and they say, okay, that's the only notable movie we got here. Let's go check it out, and that's fine and everything, but even with it going into second place as it's being, projected, maybe even third, it's not going to help it. Because what's going to happen is it's one of those films that it might start in the top 3, top 2, but then it's going to drop. And you want to know how bad it is? Dakota Johnson, who is a great actress. She does some great stuff. As a matter of fact, I'll look it up, hopefully without any lagging here on the recording. I'll look it up and everything. Hold on. Let me see if I can bring this up. Let me see if I can bring up her name. Here she is. Dakota Johnson. See if I can get her. Okay, let's see. Hold on. Dakota Johnson. I know she's been in stuff. She's been in The Social Network. She had a minor part in The Social Network. Okay, this is what she's known for. She's known for playing the lead role of Anastasia Steele in the erotic 50 Shades film series. That's what she's known for. She's also known for being in the crime drama Black Mass, A Bigger Splash. She's been in How to Be Single, the horror film Supania, the Bad Times at El Royale, coming to the Peanut Butter Falcon, The Lost Daughter, and Chai Chai Real Smooth. And she has her own company known as Tea Time Pictures, which the last of the films, Lost Daughter and Chai Chai Real Smooth, were under. Let's see. Okay, she was in Crazy Alabama. That's where people know her from. Crazy Alabama. And she was in The 5-Year Engagement, Dayton Switch, Need for Speed, and The Office. She played a role as one of the new hires on the series finale of the episode The Office. So, she's been everywhere. 21 Jump Street, the movie. Let's see, 50 Shades of Grey, of course. Bigger Splash, How to Be Single. Let's see, The High Note, Am I Okay? Persuasion, The Disappearance of Sheer Hit, a documentary, Daddy-O, and let's see, Wounds. She's been in some good movies. Need for Speed, like I said, For Ellen, Beastly. She's been in some movies. Like I said, she started in Crazy Alabama. She started in Crazy Alabama, if you will, in 1990. And she was, when was she born? She was born in, when was she born? I'm trying to think. In 1989, so she was 10 years old. She was 10 years old in Crazy Alabama. Or Crazy in Alabama is what she was. And she is the daughter of Melanie Griffin. Yeah, Don Johnson and Melanie Griffin. So that's why she sounds familiar. She's Don Johnson's daughter. That's pretty cool. And television-wise, she has been in Ben and Kate, The Office, Saturday Night Live as a host, Slip, and Saturday Night Live as another host. So there you go. And she's been in music videos for Coldplay, Cry Cry, and Blunt and Beautiful, was the other one. So she has some credentials, no doubt. You know, and she's in a relationship with Chris Martin of Coldplay since 2017. And so she's, she has notable resume. That's pretty good. That's pretty good and everything. But the reason I bring this up is because everybody's been talking about this, that ever since the trailer came out, and this is before the movie. This is before the movie, guys. But since the trailer came out, she basically dumped her agency is what she did. I think, what was it? Her let me see. Let me see what she did. Okay. Let's see. Dakota. Yeah, she recently signed with creative artist agency CAA, and so yeah, she signed with them. Cause yeah, she basically what she says, basically what she did is she fired her agent. She fired, her agent. She dumped her agency after the film was released, and also the fact that I think before the film was released, she fired her agent and then dumped her agency. She dumped them and everything. She was not happy. Let's put it that way. She was not happy and everything with the agency. She wasn't. Okay, it was the WME for CAA. It says, left her talent agency only 1 week after the trailer for Madam Web was released. So there you go. Because apparently she knew it was going to be bad. And there are reports, rumors maybe, speculation that she thought it was... you gotta dig deeper into this. But apparently she thought, according to some reports, rumors, and speculation, that it was a Disney Marvel film she was going to be signing on for. I'm assuming that's what the WME agency told her. Her agent for WME told her that it was going to be a Disney Marvel film, but instead it was a Sony film associated with Marvel. And that it wasn't going to be, I guess, as polished maybe as, or she noticed basically it wasn't going to be as polished as the Disney Marvel films. And she wasn't happy. It's like the moment the trailer came out, she, just like a lot of us, or a lot of people, saw that and they're like, and she was probably like, no, this is not good. She probably saw that trailer and she's like, you guys lied to me. You're out. I'm going to CAA. Which apparently I guess is a better agency to work for when it comes to actors and actresses. But yeah, it's like if she knew already, if the leading, because here's what gets me, and again, I haven't seen the film, but based on people's reactions and them telling everybody else, don't go see this, if your leading star that you're putting the focal point on, with this film, who's playing your main character, and this is her origin story, of how she became Madam Web, if she herself is already telling you by her actions of firing her agency and everything, if she's telling you right off the bat, this movie is, doomed to fail. This movie is not good. And if she's telling you that, if she's telling Sony that, then maybe Sony should have been like, you know what, maybe Madam Web's more meant for direct to streaming. Maybe that's where it should go. And you know what? Maybe that would have benefited it. Because you know what? This feels, and again, I haven't seen it, but people that have are saying that, or not saying, but probably will agree that this is a film meant more for direct to streaming. And there's a lot of issues with it. They say that the editing is off. That there might be some vocal dubbing, voiceover dubbing, not just for the villain, but for Dakota's character and Sydney Sweeney's character. It's like, what were they think? It's like, what was Sony thinking? Well, apparently what they were thinking is that, if we keep putting out some Spider-Man related content, we're going to be okay. Here's the issue. Sony needs to be careful, because just because the agreement says you got to have a Spider-Man related content out in theaters every so often, doesn't mean you'll be able to keep it. Now, they're going off of that, agreement or something like that to keep the movie license, the film license for Spider-Man. But it doesn't mean they're going to keep it forever, because with any agreement, there's always a loophole. There's always that fine print. And I was thinking about this too. I'm thinking, what if there is fine print in there? What if that fine print states that if you do not produce a blockbuster film with the Spider-Man license, whether it is a legit, straight up Spider-Man film, or it's related to Spider-Man, if you don't give us a box office hit, every time, then you're going to lose the license. I wonder, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm wondering if there is that fine print that states that, because if there is, Sony legally could lose the license if they don't do blockbuster films. Now, I'm not saying that's true, but it's just something I thought of. Because every contract, no matter what kind of contract it is, has a fine print in there. Has a fine print with a stipulation that states you need to do such and such to keep such and such. And I'm wondering that with them abiding by the agreement of doing a Spider-Man related film almost every year, maybe twice or three times a year, I'm wondering if they're not realizing there might be a fine print in there saying if you don't have a blockbuster hit that hits, such and such amount of dollars, consecutively, we could take your license away. I'm wondering if that fine print's in there. Because if it is, then Sony might be kissing the Spider-Man film license bye-bye. They might be kissing the goodbye back to Disney. And they know it. I think they know it. But we don't know. We don't really know yet. But to me, it's a possibility. It's a possibility. But what gets me is if your leading star, the one that's the main character in this film, already herself knows, this is going to be a shit show, then why don't you just make a decision and say, look, we were going to put it in the theaters, but instead we're going to put it, on direct to streaming. Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? Save face. That way people, want to see it. They could just see it at home, see what the complaint's about and be like, yeah, that wasn't good. I'm not going to watch it anymore. Why don't you do that? You know why they didn't do that? Because they knew that if it's as bad as people said it was, people wouldn't want to tune into Netflix or whatever they sell the streaming rights to, for the film. They wouldn't. They'd be like, nah, we're not watching that. Nope, not worth our time. That's why they went with the theaters. But if they keep up this bullshit, this kind of filming, I can see them losing the license. Now, they have 2 attempts later this year to save face, with Kraven and Venom. They have opportunity to save face there. Kraven being the first R-rated Spider-Man related film, and then Venom being, possibly R-rated too. They have they have an opportunity to save face. And if they do, that's great. If they don't, whatever. But you know what gets me, though? Is one of the women, that's a Spider-Woman here, the Julia character played by Sydney Sweeney. Her name is Julia, right? This is the same Julia that, depending on how you look at it, belongs mostly in the MCU. Yeah. She belongs in the MCU. Because she is Spider-Woman, basically. She is Spider-Woman. Her name is Julia Carpenter. And depending on the version of the character that you watch, she's majority of the time involved with somebody like a Tony Stark or someone else that's a part of the MCU. So you have to wonder if maybe that might be an issue. That maybe, they got Madam Web out as quickly as they could, knowing that, yeah, maybe it's going to be a shit show, but if we can get it out before, Disney notices, oh, wait a minute, that Julia character is supposed to be on our side of the Marvel-verse, not Sony's. It makes you wonder. But, yeah, this needs to be something that, in my opinion, Marvel, they need to talk with Sony. And again, hopefully if they talk with Sony, they'll point out maybe the fine print that I believe is in that contract that states that if they don't get, a blockbuster film, above a certain amount, within a certain time, or with a certain, time frame or whatever, a certain, not just one film, but a multitude of films, that they will lose the license. I hope they point that out to them. I hope that fine print there they point it out, and they say, if you fail with Venom 3, and you fail with Kraven, we're taking the license back. I hope they do that. Because Sony needs to wake up and realize they cannot keep screwing up on this. They cannot. Now, what could happen potentially is if that fine print is discovered, which I firmly believe is there, maybe Disney could say, look, if you don't want us to take away the license because with this fine print it states legally we can, because you've been having you've been having box office bomb after box office bomb after box office bomb. If you don't want us to do that, then guess what? Let us help you out. Let us show you how it's done. Maybe that's what occurs. Maybe they team with them, and from now on, any other Spider-Man related film, even the animated Spider-Man Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Across Beyond Spider-Verse and all that, maybe those end up under the Marvel Studio license, in a collab. Just like the Spider-Man films before it. Who knows? But again, if I'm Sony, I get my act together, because if they don't, I think whatever fine print is in there, it's going to come back to haunt them, and they're going to lose their license. They are. So, even if they are planning more movies, Kraven and Venom might be the exceptions. They might be good this year. Whatever other ones they got planned, they need to make sure that they do justice by it. Just don't whip it up and say, okay, here's a budget of $10 million, go make a movie. No. Make sure you put all the effort you need into it, all the money you need into it, and give it the quality and the presentation it deserves. Because this here, even though, like I said, I haven't seen it yet, it ain't it. I mean, what's crazy is people are comparing this to the freaking Catwoman with Halle Berry, and that came out around the time where this movie is supposed to take place in. And that's another issue, too. Apparently, there's technology in this film that wouldn't be created or evolved into for another 10 years, 10, 20 years. It's like, what? Excuse me? It's like, if your leading lady knows this is going to be a shit show, maybe you shouldn't be putting it in theaters. Just saying. But let me know what your thoughts are on this topic, on Madam Web not being so good. Did you like it? Maybe it was your cup of tea, but let me know, and let's get on to the next topic. All right, our next topic is also a Marvel topic, but it's one that everybody's been waiting for since it was announced, and that is X-Men 97, the trailer that I did a discussion video on, overall thoughts on. The trailer did come out recently. And I want to take this opportunity to talk about, why this is such a big deal for a lot of fans that grew up on this. It's mainly because of the fact that a lot of us that grew up on it from 92 to 97, enjoyed watching it. It's like, one of the shows that was our primary focus on Saturday mornings was X-Men. In fact, X-Men was one of the primary shows that helped put Fox Saturday mornings and Fox Kids on the map. So it was basically essential viewing for a lot of us to not only check out what Fox had to offer, show wise and everything, series wise, but it was essential viewing, especially if you read the comics. Now, for me, this is hard to believe, but I do have a cousin, a secondary cousin, actually, a second cousin. It's a cousin of my mom, but it's a second cousin to me that used to work for Marvel. He's basically a freelance artist. His name is Joe Rosas, and he used to do some of the comics. He actually worked on some of the comics that came out that helped inspire this series to happen originally. So, I'm happy to say that. I'm proud to say that. I'm not trying to gloat about it or anything, but that's another reason why it's kind of like, important viewing for folks like me, because we actually have a relative, a distant relative that worked on it. So that's pretty cool. That's actually pretty cool and everything. But the other reason too is when we watched the series, it was like one of those series that you could not stop watching, that you always had to tune in and not skip an episode. Even if you started to see it even when you started to see reruns, you wanted to watch the reruns. You just wanted to keep watching it, because it was so good. The characters were so good, and that's all I can really say on it. I mean, I remember as a kid, I was like 13 years old. Yeah, 13 years old when this came out. I could not get enough of it. I couldn't, and I remember where we were when this first came out. I think we were, if I'm remembering right, I think we were living with my grandparents at that time. Again, I'm not totally sure. I'm not 100% sure or not if we were living with them or something. Because it was in 92. And we already been to Kansas in 92. I think we were in Kansas in 92. We were in Kansas for like one day in 92 and then came back. And then, because apparently it wasn't up to what we hoped for. And then in 93 we went back. So, and that was for like 6 months, and then we went back again. So it's like, again, I think I've talked about this before. But anyway, we were living with my grandparents, I think, at the time. And we watched it. We did watch it on television. And I think this was at a time where my grandparents actually, and this is just me, I think my grandparents actually gave my mom a television at that time. I'm not totally sure if they gave her one or something. I'm not really sure. I know they gave her one. I don't know if they gave it to her in 93 or anything. I'm not really sure. No, it was in 92 because she took the TV with us when we moved back to Kansas. And I think that's the TV we would watch things on in the living room. I think that was the TV we were watching things on in the living room. But anyway, it was the TV we were watching things on. But anyway, I remember basically, trying to think here. I remember we would watch it on Saturday mornings in the room we all shared. My mom, my sisters, and me, and my niece. We would, and my niece was like barely 1 year old or something like that. What was she? No. My niece was, my niece was actually born around that. Had just been born around that time frame. So we were watching it. And everything, in the living room and all that. We were not living room, but we were watching on the TV in there and everything. And when we moved back with them in 93 for a while, we were watching it, like I said, on the television in the bedroom and all that. My cousin, who's 2 years older than me, he would record every week. He had tapes worth of episodes recorded when they would come out. So, so for us, so for people like me, to know this is making a comeback, it's just amazing. It's really amazing because I remember when I moved back out to Kansas to live with my dad, I would watch it every week. I would try to record it. I would make it part of a variety tape that I had, where I'd also have Sonic on there and everything, and Wild West Cowboys and Moon Mesa and TMNT, and I'd have X-Men on there. And then, of course, I tried to individualize it as well, and I did that for a bit before, of course, the VCR conked out. And I just enjoyed it. I watched it every Saturday as much as I could. Even when I was playing football, I was watching it. I was watching it every morning. Because I didn't want to miss an episode. I didn't want to miss an episode or anything. So it was really good to watch. And over time, I ended up buying the VHSs. Is what I did too. This is when Universal, believe it or not, had the distributing license for the episodes. So they would bring out these tapes, and I still have the tapes, that were basically, they weren't necessarily compilations, but they were comprised of 4 or 5 episodes each. So, and sometimes they'd be comprised as a movie. Like I have Beyond Good and Evil, I have the Phoenix and Dark Phoenix saga, I think. And I think I have the Savage Land one as well. But I also remember when this first came out, the way they promoted it was Pizza Hut would, when you would buy a certain amount of pizza, or not amount, but a certain size of pizza, a meal deal or whatever, you would get a free VHS. Just like they did with the Ninja Turtles when they were promoting the Coming Out of the Shells tour. If you bought a certain pizza, for a certain price, you would get the cassette. And I remember getting the cassette of that, the audio cassette. And basically the same thing with the X-Men. And they did this, I think, with 2 volumes. The first volume, of course, was the pilot, which was Night of the Sentinels. I think I still have that somewhere. I gotta look. And then the other, I think, was the finale for season 1. I'm not really sure. But yeah, it was just such a good series, and I kept collecting the comic as much as I could too, because not only did I collect the issues that my mom's cousin drew in or did the line work for, but I just wanted to collect them because of the stories, because the stories were so good and everything, and I just couldn't get enough of it. I really couldn't. So anyway, when I moved out to Kansas, I got to watch the rest of it and everything. And then when I moved out on my own and got cable and had Toon Disney and everything, they had X-Men on there, believe it or not. They had X-Men on Toon Disney. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this. They did have it on Toon Disney. They had it on I think they had it as part of the Jetix block or something. So I would watch it. And I would record every episode I could. I would record every episode. In variety DVDs, the own DVD, I would record them. And then when I heard they were bringing them out onto DVD, I wanted to do my best to get them, and it would take years, if not like recently, as several years ago, for me to finally get all the episodes on DVD officially. But I was just happy to get them, and I know it's on Disney Plus and all that. But yeah, I just enjoy watching them, and then when this announcement came out, it's like, oh, this is going to be good. And yeah, a lot of reports came out of like, okay, the original VA cast is coming back. There are some notable changes here and there because of the times, like a different actress is doing Jubilee's voice because they don't want to portray somebody that's not authentic to who they are and everything. And then of course you have the whole thing with Morph and his design. Apparently what they're doing with Morph, from what I can tell, is I don't know if it's going to be for the first couple of episodes, but it looks like he's going to have like he's going to go back and forth. Like he's going to have his changeling look, if you will, but he's also going to have his regular look. Like when he's out in public and everything, he might morph back into who he was in the original show. But with his changeling look, that's going to be very prominent and present on the show more so. And there is talk that it has to do with Sinister, who's also supposed to come back in the show, messing with his molecules or messing with his DNA when he had control of him, and this is now the result. So, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting take on the show, if you will. It's gonna be an interesting take. Well, not an interesting take on the show, but it's gonna be an interesting take on the character. I'm thinking a lot about the show because, of course, I got the images up in front of you. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting take on the character. And apparently, one of the newsworthy items that people are mixed about is he's going to be non-binary. And look, I get people feel like that's not something that should have been done. Like, why would you make him non-binary? He's male and everything. He's not gay and all that. And apparently, him and Wolverine Logan are going to have a budding relationship, and it's like, budding friendship or something like that. And it's like, look, why is that an issue with you? Why is that an issue? And I get why it's an issue, I should say. I should correct myself there. I get why it's an issue. But, again, it's a sign of the times. And I know people don't want things that are coming back that are supposed to be based in a certain time era, a certain time and place. They don't want things of today incorporated into that time frame. I get that. But this is a situation to where, basically, what are you going to do? I mean, yeah, one of the people that's writing for the show may not be writing for it much longer. The way, apparently, according to Yellow Flash, their comments on Twitter do not reflect them very well. And yeah, if those get out publicly more so than they are now, yeah, she could kiss her job goodbye, if that's the case. I'm not saying she would, but it's the day and age. What are you going to do? And there's obviously going to be people saying, well, think about it. Morph is kind of a shapeshifter. He's not a shapeshifter where he can turn into an inanimate object, this and that and all that. No, he's a shapeshifter that can morph his appearance into anybody he wants. So, going the non-binary route is, a good idea. And, that's how some might feel about it. Like, it's a good idea to go that route because, if he's if he's going to be portrayed as non-binary, it doesn't mean, what that means basically is him with his abilities of being able to morph into whoever he wants, he can morph into a girl and, get away with it, and that wouldn't be a problem. He can morph back into a guy or something like that. It wouldn't be a problem. He can morph into an animal or whatever. It doesn't mean he has to be one specific, shape, if you get my drift. So for him to be known as non-binary, and everything, look, I get it. It's something that shouldn't be in the show. It shouldn't be a change that necessarily needs to be had. But honestly, again, it's the time and it's the time frame that we're in right now. It's the time and century we're in right now, which is completely different from the last century, which this was a part of. Because not forget, 90s was still part of the 20th century. We're now in the 21st century, 30 years later. Well, actually, when this show ended, it would have been 27 years later. But you get my drift. So, yeah, it's a different time and place. What are you going to do? But again, some would say that the reason he's being portrayed in this manner, is because, he can become anybody he wants. So let's say they need him to infiltrate the Hellfire Club, which apparently is going to have a presence in the show. He needs to infiltrate it. Why not infiltrate it as a girl? Maybe a femme fatale that gets the main leader's attention and everything. That's one way of doing it. So we'll have to see. Where they go with his character in that kind of scenario, or this kind of situation of like, how are you going to explore the non-binariness that you have on him because of his powers and all that. The other issue some people might have, not many, but like a small percentage, like 5% people have with this, is the animation. They feel it's a little like, it's like they could see. I mean, I could see it's trying to stay true to the original animation style, which I think is a benefit, it's a thumbs up in my opinion. Like, hey, you're putting some effort in to try to make it look just as authentic as the last one, or the original, I should say. But I get where they're coming from. It's like, it feels like it's more very flash, motion comic, animation, very jaggy at times. But, I look at it like this. It's a different animation studio, and they're trying to replicate the original. And if you're judging it based off the trailer, let's not forget, sometimes a lot of places, a lot of companies, studios, if you will slow down, certain scenes, in a trailer to really put emphasis of how important this series is going to be, or how significant maybe these certain moments are going to be in the show. So there is that. So there are those studios out there that do this for the shows and movies. It doesn't mean that what you're seeing in the trailer is going to be the end result. The end result could be completely different. But I understand some people might have an issue with that. I understand some people have an issue with Rogue and Storm and and even Jean Grey and Jubilee, in their proportions, if you will, not being what they used to be. There's complaints of, the uniboobed, or the back, or their, the rears, the butts are flat and everything. And it's like, that's not necessarily true. I mean, if you look at the bottom here, with Storm, you don't see that. So my only guess is people are, just looking at that and saying, oh well, they did that to Rogue because she's a sex symbol and everything. Hello. If you did not watch the original series, especially towards the end, they did it to her there too. So let's not be judgmental, all right? Let's not be judgmental. But outside of those complaints, about 95% of people, 90% to 95% of people like this. They're happy with it. They're happy for it, and they can't wait to see it. Now, whether or not it's going to be weekly or it's going to be all dropped at once is a different story in itself. Hopefully, that gets answered soon. It's going to be 10 episodes. So what that tells me, if it's 10 episodes, then I'm thinking it's not going to be dropped all at once. I think it's going to be weekly. Because if you drop all 10 at once, it's like, okay, that's going to take people time to watch, but, people will put themselves through it. They will, just to, watch the series. I mean, some people might watch two or four episodes a night. You never know. But to me, I think it's going to be weekly, because they're dropping it on a Wednesday, apparently, on a Wednesday. So, which is March 20th. So I'm thinking it's going to be, honestly, it's going to be weekly. I'm thinking it's going to be weekly. I really do. Is it a Wednesday? Is March 20th a Wednesday? Let me see. Because usually February and March match up date-wise. Let me see. Yeah, it's going to be a Wednesday. It's going to be a Wednesday and everything. But, and then what that tells me is it's going to probably be weekly. It's going to be a weekly show on a Wednesday. They might move it around, but that's the benefit too about Disney Plus. You can actually watch it at any time you want. You can watch it anytime you want. So we'll see what happens, but I'm glad this is coming back. I really am. I've already gave my thoughts on what I think is going to happen. Apparently, there's going to be a power struggle and a kind of a story of trust with Magneto and whether or not he has changed. I think Xavier is going to come back. I think his physical body, as of right now, is 6 feet under, but his mind is being healed. His mind is being healed up in the Shi'ar Empire, and I think he's eventually gonna come back. I think what's gonna happen is he's gonna come back in a new body, very similar to what we see at the end of X3, if you will, your X-Men Last Stand. We're gonna see him come back, and it'll be a very prominent moment. Especially if the storyline is, can Magneto change his ways, or is he always going to be stuck in his old ways? We'll have to see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Jean Grey being pregnant, that is kind of a change, because there was no indication that she was pregnant at the end of the original series. But again, this is a continuation for the fans that grew up on the original series. So adding her pregnancy in there and everything, I think, I think it's a good move. And it does make you wonder, like, who is she pregnant with? Is she pregnant with her daughter, who inherits the Phoenix powers, or is she pregnated with her clone because she has a clone son, Cable? We don't really know. I'm gonna lean towards her daughter. I'm leaning towards her daughter, who she's pregnant with. So that's gonna be interesting. And there people have been speculating that maybe we're gonna get a situation that's very Terminator-ish, if you will, in story, to where somebody from the future might come back and try to kill her and everything because, hey, her daughter's the hope for the future. Or maybe it's her daughter that comes back and says, hey, this baby you're carrying, mom, that's me. And I'm here to protect myself from getting killed, protect you to protect me from getting killed. So that might be what they play up. We're not really sure. But it will be interesting to see, what stories we get out of this. Apparently, one of the stories is being adapted is from the 1980s series where Magneto was 1980s comic book series where Magneto was trying to be good. He was trying to turn over a new leaf, but he couldn't. But I'm looking forward to it. What say you? And now let's get on to our next topic. All right, so our next topic kind of connects with the previous one, and that is we're talking about Season 3. This is being developed. This is a fan-funded, and it's been covered by a lot of notable sites like MovieReb, comicbook.net, comicbook.com, other places as well, Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, Variety. They've all talked about it at one time or another. And this is definitely still in the works. They've been releasing some WIP animatics as we speak. On Patreon. If you support them, you get that on Patreon. And I think they've been releasing them on the Twitter page, on the twitter.com/x.com page. But yeah, again, this kind of correlates with the last one the last topic, because this too is making a comeback with one episode. They're working on one episode to try to see if they can get this off the air, or get this off the ground, I should say. And to me, when I look at the return of X-Men, 97, the return of the original X-Men series under the title X-Men 97, which serves as a continuation, to me, I look at the fact that if that show can do it, and that show came out a year before Sonic Satayam did, then Satayam should be able to do the same thing, right? Should be able to do the same thing, right? Well, I believe so. And I think when you get down to it, and I've mentioned this before, that's what Team Season's goal is. Basically, they want to do the pilot, for the third season and see how far it takes off, and then maybe get the attention of Sega, which I think they would be cool with it, more promotion for Sonic, as well as maybe see if they can get the attention of maybe somebody else like Wild Brain, maybe be able to do what Has Been Hotel did, and that's basically, get, a streaming service like Prime Video or Netflix or whoever to pick them up and say, yeah, well, if Sega's cool with it, we'll help you, make more of this. And maybe that's what will happen. But to me, I definitely feel like, when I look at X-Men 97, and then I know this is happening, this return's happening, and it's being covered by a lot of people, it definitely shows you that fans of yesteryear, it's known, of the 90s and early 2000s, they want this kind of quality back, on the platform. They want this kind of quality back to watch, whenever they want. And to me, when I see the effort being put into this, I mean, the return of Robotropolis trailer, which you can find on YouTube, definitely speaks volumes, in my opinion. Definitely speaks volumes. But what I also like about the return of these kind of shows, whether the fan-funded or something that the studios want to do, because they know the immense popularity of that franchise. What I like about it is the people that get behind it, are not only fans themselves and maybe people that worked on the original series, but what I like about it is they see that this is an opportunity to, do a continuation and do it a lot darker, a lot more mature than the original. And with X-Men '97 in the trailer they showed us there, you could see it. You could see that's the direction they're going in there. And with Team Season and the trailer they did with Return to Robotropolis for season 3, you can definitely feel that that's the direction they're going with this as well. That they want to make it darker, they want to make it more compelling than the last 2 seasons. Now the only question is, will they be able to continue that if they are successful, which I believe they will be, in getting Sega's approval and getting maybe a streaming service behind them? Will they be able to continue that? And I think they will. I mean, after what we saw with Sonic Boom and certain situations there, well, not Sonic Boom, but with Sonic Prime. Sonic Boom is a comedic series. Sonic Prime, I should say, on Netflix. After what we saw with Sonic Prime, I truly believe Sega would be cool with it. I think they really would be, because again, it's more publicity for Sonic, and it shows that they are willing to let other adaptations, other lores of Sonic be acknowledged. Outside of what people know of him right now. So to me, when I see X-Men '97 getting the opportunity it's getting, especially with that trailer, and it gets me back to thinking about this, and I'm like, yeah, there's no doubt this definitely could follow follow suit, I should say, in the same direction, in the same manner, if you will, as as X-Men '97. I really do. I think you could follow in that same manner, because you got so much story you can work with, moving forward, outside of what people already know about for the potential pilot. You got so much to look. You got so much you could work with, that you have a whole what, 6, 8, maybe 13 episode season, in the palm of your hands. I mean, going back to X-Men '97, you see that they're gonna have, you hear and see that they're gonna have 10 episodes. That tells you that they know they're gonna have. That tells you that they know they need, that space to tell all the stories they're gonna be able to tell. Be able to focus on certain characters they want to focus on. And the same goes here for Season. I mean, you already have stories in the webcomic of Season that if the animated portion gets picked up after the pilot, that can be explored. With characters like Bunny Rabbit, Sally Acorn, and Tails, and so on. You could see that it could be explored, and if not expanded on. So to me, when I look at, like I said, X-Men '97, it got me thinking about this, and I'm thinking, this to me right here is the next one to take off. And I think what's going to happen is it's going to get people's attention. It's going to get people to, invest in it. Maybe even Sega invest in it and be like, okay, cool, we'll look into it. It's like, okay, we give this the okay to take off and maybe be picked up by a streaming service. I could see it going down the route of a Has-Been Hotel, where it starts off as a YouTube thing with a pilot, and then all of a sudden it's like news comes out. Here's Netflix picking it up. Here's Prime Video picking it up. Here's Apple TV picking it up. Here's Disney Plus, picking it up. Here's Max picking it up, or Paramount, picking it up. So I look, like I said, at what 97's doing right now, and I'm like, if that could do it, then I have no doubt this can do it, and I believe this will be the next big thing here that will take that'll take that giant leap. And again, I think it's going to follow suit as not only reviving and reviving a series that ended on a cliffhanger and everything, and needs resolution, and needs a proper conclusion. But it's also going to follow suit, in making the jump from YouTube to a streaming service like Has-Been Hotel did. But, that's all I can really say on it, guys. But let me know what your thoughts are on it. Do you think it'll be able to do that as well? Do what X-Men '97 is going to be doing, as well as make the leap like Has-Been Hotel did. Let me know, and let's go on to our next and final topic. Okay, so our last and final topic. I've talked about this before, but the person on the right, if you will, Scott D'Amore, he was fired from TNA Wrestling by the parent company Anthem Sports. Um, and he knew about the firing basically about a month prior to it happening. Um, and what he tried to do as a last, I guess you could say a last resort, is he tried to buy the company outright. He tried to buy TNA outright from Anthem, so he can, allow it to go and be its own thing. Anthem said, no, you're not doing that, and all that. Even though D'Amore got a major bank to back him up with the offer, and they were considering it. They relented and they said, no, we're not going to do that. And then apparently, because he knew it was going to happen, he just let it happen. Well, I wouldn't say he let it happen, but basically, he knew. Well, I tried. Might as well enjoy my last few weeks or month here with the company, and they let him go. Now, apparently, other reasons for it, as I've mentioned before in my video where I talked about it, and others have talked about it, is there was a disagreement of how both sides felt the company should be run, and that also led to his release, his termination. Now we have a new TNA president, Anthony Cesaro, or Anthony. His name is Anthony Cesaro or Cesaro or something like that. Cesaro. Apparently, he's a well-liked person, and he's willing to learn. While he's the president, basically take advice from those that have been doing this for a while. But the reason this is also something that took everybody by shock. TNA stars actually wrote a letter to Anthem and saying they were not happy and they wanted more back. But the other, and I don't know if that's fallen on deaf ears, but apparently Anthem did probably read it. And again, whether or not it fell on deaf ears, we'll have to find out. If it, results in him coming back, that's good. If not, what can you do? But apparently, the reason I bring this up and the reason I have Tommy Dreamer's picture next to it is D'Amore was head of creative. He was the head man in charge of creative. And when he left, the creative didn't have a head writer anymore. And that's where Tommy Dreamer comes in. Because Tommy Dreamer recently was named as the head writer, head of creative, I should say, of TNA. Now, some people question, people, easy for me to say, but people did question, why he was brought in, or basically given that position of power instead of someone like Gail Kim, who's also on creative. It's called experience. And nothing against Gail. Gail probably does a good job at creative stories, especially for the women and even the men. She's definitely a strong contributor, there's no doubt, or else they wouldn't keep her around. But Tommy has more experience than her. He has like 30 plus, if not 40 years of experience. And there's storylines that Tommy Dreamer was involved in ECW and other places that none of the fans of TNA or this generation of fans have seen yet. They've read about, they've probably seen through WWE Network, but they've never experienced, in person themselves. So I can tell you honestly that he brings that wealth of experience, being through those kind of stories, to the platform as head of creative. And he could be someone that's like, okay, I see myself in this character, I see myself in this individual, and I could see a story that I used to be part of working well for them. And then working off of with Gail Kim, they could work some magic. Him and Gail and Lance Storm and all of them can work some magic based on their own experiences. So, so I think right now, until maybe D'Amore gets back, if he comes back, we'll have to see if the letter works out, to Anthem, to see if they can, to see if maybe they will waver and say, okay, Scott, we'll bring you back, but don't ever pull a stunt like that again. Or, hey, whatever we say goes, just deal with it. Again, whether that works or not, we'll have to wait and see. It's a wait and see process. But, with Tommy as the lead, as head of creative, and again, him, mixing his experience with Gales and Lance Storm, because he's worked with Lance in ECW. I think it's going to be a benefit. I think we're going to see some magic, if you will. I mean, Scott, being head of creative, did obviously allowed certain things to be gotten away with, and everything. He allowed certain things to be gotten away with, but obviously, he probably held back on a few things. So maybe with him gone, and and Tommy being in that role now, they might have a little bit more freedom and be like, hey, let's take what we used to be part of, what we went through, and apply it to this new generation, this roster of today, of 2024 of TNA Wrestling, and see what they can do, see what magic we can come up with for them to apply, to work with and make some magic of their own. So yeah, Tommy Dreamer is the head of creative, and again, I think honestly we'll just give it a. If I'm the TNA roster, because some of them are more. Because even though some of them were upset and still are, some of them are optimistic of it's a wait and see scenario. And if Anthony, the new TNA president, Anthony Cesaro, is willing to learn, willing to take advice, then maybe that's a positive. Maybe that's a huge positive for them in the long run. But we'll see. And if one of the first decisions was to make Tommy head of creative, I think that's a good first step, because again, Tommy's got this wealth of experience of almost 40 years, to mix in with Lance Storm's wealth of experience of 30 plus years and Gale's experience of 20 plus years. So I think it's going to be worth it. I think it's going to be something that might work out well in the end, but we'll see. I think it'll be something that'll work out well in the end, but it's a wait and see. And if D'Amore comes back and he gets put into the mix, that's even better. But, let's see what happens. And really, that's all I can say on it, guys. Give me your thoughts. And let's, end this off, shall we? All right, guys. So in closing, those are just my thoughts on some of the topics that I wanted to discuss. Again, they're not in order. They weren't, like you've seen before. Just wanted to talk about them here on this TGIF Friday, the start of President's Day weekend. Let me know what your thoughts overall on them. And for those of you listening on this, or listening to this on Rumble for the first time, I hope you enjoyed it. And that's really all I can say, guys. So until next time, basically, I should say, there will be more content coming. Believe me, there will be more content coming in the future. But let me know what your thoughts are overall on each of the topics I had to talk about here. What are your thoughts on the X-Men revival, X-Men 97, Sonic Satayam, Season 3 that's being developed by Team Season? Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Do you think it'll make the leap like Has Been Hotel did to a streaming service? And do you think it will also follow suit like what X-Men 97 is doing right now? Let me know what your thoughts are on the Willis situation right now. The Fana Willis trial that's going on. Let me know your thoughts on that overall, and let me know what your thoughts are on the Madam Web failure. Do you think it should have been direct to streaming? Do you think with Dakota Johnson, dropping her agency, that should have been a warning sign, a red flag to Sony not to put this in theaters? Let me know down below. And honestly, guys, that's all I can really say. So until next time, take care, God bless, and thank you all for listening here on YouTube, as well as listening for the first time on Rumble.com. And until then, I am out.